But let's kick it off with the Tennessee game recap. So Arkansas, like I said, lost 31-34. We scored two late touchdowns. It was 17-34. So at one point it did kind of get out of hand, but we made a late game push, and it was 31-34 with 2:55. They get the ball back. We still have an opportunity if we stop them to get the ball back as well. We're not able to do that. They get the first down and they win the football game. Tennessee improves to 5-1. We dropped 2-4, but there were a lot of positive notes. So if we'll start with our side and the offensive side of the football, I'm going to give the offensive side of the football a C plus. If you tuned in to last Monday, I gave my personal prediction of what I thought this game was going to look like, and what I thought was 41-31. So the spread, when I think I picked it, was 13 and a half. I think it dropped to 10 and a half. So it still all applied. I thought we'd cover, but I thought it would be 41-31. I was fairly close. We lost 34-31, so I gave them an extra touchdown that they didn't end up scoring. But I thought, to me, if we score exactly what I expected, that's a C. I don't want to say it's an average game because 31 points is still pretty good. But 31 compared to what I thought we were going to do, exactly 31. I just wanted to give a slight boost to that, because it was a road game and it was the first game under Bobby Petrino. But here's some numbers to look at. Taylor Green, 256 passing yards, two touchdowns, 63 rushing yards, and a touchdown as well. Mike Washington Jr. had 131 rushing yards, and Braylon Russell, 47, another guy on the ground. And that was kind of our offensive, those numbers. But here's some positives to me and some negatives that I looked at from this game. 240 rushing yards. Like that's a pretty good day for a team that was pretty good defensively against the run. They're not the best defense, like I said on Monday. I really thought this was kind of like if there's Tennessee, Arkansas is kind of like a great value version of Tennessee. Tennessee truly is what we were, but just a lot better at all ends of the spectrum. So they aren't the best defense, but they had a better run defense, and we were ultimately able to rush for 240 yards and 131 for Mike Washington Jr. Like, he looked legit in this game. I was quite impressed with how he did. And another positive, 3+ catches for 4 different receivers. Like, I felt like we were really only targeting Omega Blake in a lot of these games prior to this one, but to have Raylan Sharp be your leading receiver with 7 catches on 7 targets, so caught everything thrown to him. Blake still had 5 catches for 65, but CJ Brown got 3 catches for 50, and Cam Shank 3 for 44 and a touchdown. So to have 4 different guys all at the receiver position, have 3+ catches in this game, and Sharp have 7, and Blake have 5. Like, to me, to spread out that football was really pivotal in this game, and I hope that's something we see going forward. Uh, but from that perspective, to me, I was overall impressed with the offense. Like, I thought we came out and showed like 13 against Notre Dame. That's not something that you're going to consistently see. You're going to see those 30+ point performances. And on the road to score 31, I thought most of our guys played well. Some of the negatives, we allowed 5 sacks. The offensive line to me did not look great. We knew Tennessee had some great pass rushers, but they really wreaked havoc on us Saturday. And then 3 turnovers, all of them being fumbles. 2 of them were in Tennessee territory, so that's opportunities where they weren't necessarily in the red zone, but they were on the Tennessee side of the football field, and to miss out on potential points in that situation is really tough. And then one ultimately of those fumbles resulted in a Tennessee touchdown pretty quickly after. The other 2, actually, we were able to hold them and get punts. But to have 3 fumbles, like, that's something where, specifically with Taylor Green's 2 fumbles, because Russell's fumble, man, it wasn't the worst fumble. He got nailed. You hope that he's able to hold on to that football, but that one to me is not as bad as Taylor Green's one where he just like drops it when he's trying to like situate. That's a fluke one to me. That's something he doesn't consistently show. But to lose the ball on that sack when you could tell it's like he sees the guy coming, he braces, like he knows he's going to get hit, and still drops the football. It's just one of those, like, if you're going to essentially take the sack, you got to hold on to that football. So he's got to clean up some of those. That's something, if I had to highlight one of his problems, it's turning over the football in a way of, like, he'll make silly interceptions and he'll fumble the ball. He'll be very loose with the football. And that's something you can kind of give and take when you have a dynamic runner like him. But what sucks in this situation, at least with Saturday's game against Tennessee, was both of those turnovers were not like running the football, right? They were in the pocket, swerving out, trying to throw it, and kind of just dropped it. And the other one is taking a sack and you still can't hold on to the football. So that's two of the negatives there, the turnovers and the sacks, that I'd love for us to clean up, going into the next game. We'll switch over to the defensive side. I gotta give them a C plus as well. So I expected us to score or to give up 34 points, and for them to give up 40, or I expected them to give up 41 points. They ultimately score 34. I got to give them a little credit. Like ultimately, 34 points, right, is still a lot of points. This defense is getting better, though, in my opinion. Some of the positives: we forced Tennessee into 5 punts. I mean, like we just don't go out teams. Teams just don't punt on us. Notre Dame, I don't know if they even had a punt against us. I'm trying to pull it up. Notre Dame's punter, he probably didn't even punt, and that's a shame if so. Uh, uh, yeah, they had 0 punts in that game. The Memphis punter, so the week before that, he punted 3 times. So wow, that was a big game on our defensive side there. And then Ole Miss punter punted twice. So really allowing very few punts. If anything, doing the math on that, that's 5 punts in the previous 3 weeks, and we gave up 5 punts in this game. That's great. Um, I would have loved uh, more, but to have 5 punts, it's a big deal for our defense given where we were. Right, this is I kind of got to judge week in week out based off where we've been and not what I hope we could be if we were in a vacuum. But to force Tennessee into 5 punts, I thought that was a positive note. And honestly, this one's going to sound ludicrous as well, but to hold Tennessee to 34 points, like I thought they were going to score 41. If anybody was familiar with their offense going into the season or going into that game, they're averaging 52 points. So 18 under their average. That's a pretty big deal. And they weren't doing it necessarily against cupcakes. Like they played the number 6 team in the country in Georgia. They played at Mississippi State. They played Syracuse. So they played real football teams. And for us to hold them at their home off a bye to 34 points, I think that just shows an improvement on the defensive side of the football. So that's two positives to me. Two negatives: force 0 sacks and 0 turnovers. And I talked about it last Monday where if we were going to win this football game, which I didn't think that we would, but I thought if we had a shot, it was going to really take either big time sacks or big time turnovers. It was going to have to be changing the field and really allowing our offense to have more opportunities. And we weren't able to do that. Now we were able to get more stops than I anticipated, but to force 0 sacks and 0 turnovers, to me, you got to create more plays as a defense. And I would I'd honestly take a stop or two away if we could get some crucial third down sacks or some big time turnovers, like forcing fumbles, picking off the football. That's something that this defense just needs the ability to improve on, because if not, it's just going to continue to be tough for them to get stops. Turnovers allow you to get off the field quicker, which allows you to get more rest, which allows your offense to get on the field, and then ultimately it could be a longer time for you to get back on the field. So for to have long drives and just continue to go out there and try to rely on your defense to make stops, it's just hard. So if we can force more sacks and more turnovers than we did, which were 0 on Saturday. So allowed 264 rushing yards and 146 to Deshaun Bishop. We didn't have a great run defense, but to me, it was better than our pass defense. So to give up 264 yards, we knew they had a three-headed monster in the backfield. They had 14 carries for Bishop, 10 for Thomas, and 8 for Lewis. So they all three kind of got opportunities. Bishop's just the one who killed us on them with 146 yards. So shoring up that run defense is something we got to take priority on. But to hold Aguilar to 221 passing yards, I mean, he only threw 25 passes and he only completed 16 of them. But I thought we were able to limit him. And Brazel the second, like he's a guy that a lot of people talked about going into this football game, and he had 5 yards on one catch. So Kanai Walker, shout out to him. But ultimately, I do want to give this defense a C plus, just a slight tick above average, because they performed better than they have in the past, and ultimately held a 52 points per game offense to 34. So shout out to them. Just one other positive note I want to mention, and this is something I thought about watching the game live and thinking about the difference between Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino. Here's two notes to me that really impacted to where I just immediately saw Bobby Petrino and something I think Sam Pittman wouldn't have done or was losing control of. And two things. First drive of the game, it's 4th and 1 at our own 34. Bobby Petrino goes for it. Ultimately leads in a touchdown drive to start the game. You don't do that and you bring Bale out and maybe Tennessee scores and they ultimately scored. So I'm going to assume they would have scored off the punt as well. You're down 7-0. And not saying that would have completely like just made this a runaway game, but to have that opportunity to decide to go for it and to make a big play decision like that and then it result in points, that's a direct representation of who Bobby Petrino is and what you get for him being as your head coach. And then the second thing, and this is something I talked about on Monday as well, I didn't think it'd come to fruition this quickly, but penalties. We were a team that was struggling with penalties. We had one penalty that was accepted in this game. That was for 10 yards. And Tennessee had 10 penalties. And so Tennessee was averaging less penalties than we were going into this game. And we had one penalty and they had 10. So to me, that's a spot where your team prepared for this game. And both teams were coming off buys, but for our team under a new head coach to only have one penalty in this game, that just speaks to the volume and the focus that Bobby Petrino had on making sure we were running a clean offense and running a clean defense. And to me, that's just directly correlated to the head coach. Like there's going to be some silly penalties here and there, but to only have one accepted penalty to me, that was truly something that you got to give Coach Bobby Petrino credit for.